This is the Autumn Leaves fingerstyle guitar arrangement that I'm going to teach you in this lesson. This is a simple and beautiful solo guitar arrangement of the song Autumn Leaves with the melody and harmony separated into two distinct parts. So you're playing the melody and then also comping. So it sounds full, it sounds complete, it can even sound like two different people playing, but it's just on one guitar. And you can play this on any type of guitar. If you want to download the notation and tabs of this sheet music, just click on the link in the top of the description to get a free PDF of my solo guitar arrangement pack. I've had that as a free download for a while, but I just added this Autumn Leaves fingerstyle guitar arrangement to it. First, I'm going to play you the full Autumn Leaves arrangement with the sheet music and tabs on the screen. You can follow along so you can take in the whole thing before working on it, and that can also serve as a great benchmark for you to work towards playing along with. It's going to be in time at 130 beats per minute. After that, I'll walk through the piece from beginning to end and mention any technique elements that are important to keep in mind so you can work towards being able to play this smoothly. I'll also probably mention a couple theory things along the way. And lastly, I'm going to list for you 4 ways that you can take this simple arrangement after getting the notes down and just being able to play through it, how you can take that and breathe even more life into it and play it at a more advanced level. That's what we're going to cover. Let's get into it. I'm Jared Borkowski from SoundGuitarLessons.com, where I don't just teach how to play guitar, but how to deeply understand music on the guitar so we can feel like real musicians, so we can have more creative control, so we can express ourselves more freely. If you're new here, welcome. Please subscribe and follow. I have new videos every week. All right, let's walk through this and talk about how to play it really well, give you all the little tips and secrets here for not just playing the notes, but really playing it smoothly. First of all, I have all the left-hand fingering written out for you, so that's crystal clear. Every single note tells you what left-hand finger I recommend using to play it as smooth as possible. All of the notes that have the up stem are your melody notes for the song, and all of your notes that have the down stems are your accompaniment and comping. The first and most important thing to say here about playing this is that you want to separate the melody with the accompaniment as much as possible, and you do that in a number of ways. The first thing to work on doing is that when you're playing the melody note, look at this. This note is ringing all the way over here, and all this stuff is happening underneath it. So you want to really make sure that the melody is continuing to ring when it's supposed to ring. And you can just look at it, even if you're looking at the tabs down here, just look at where that note is ringing up above in the notation, and or use your ears just to listen for, is that top note ever getting cut off? Because we really want it to sing. So you want to make sure that it still going, right? That note is still going. It's not getting cut off for some reason. And that could get cut off for a number of reasons. You could accidentally touch it with your right hand. One of the left-hand fingers could touch it, and or just by having to hold it with the pinky in this case, and then move other stuff around, it could lose its strength and just kind of lose the pressure that it needs there to keep that note ringing, and it just kind of goes away. So be really work on that stuff. That's the magic of solo guitar, is to have the melody and accompaniment separated, and just making sure it doesn't get cut off so it can feel like an independent voice happening is the number one thing. The number two thing is to try to separate it with dynamics and or timbre and texture in the way that you're articulating it. So that's the melody. The first thing to think of is just make sure the melody's nice and strong, even if it feels like overkill. You know, if you need to just dig in and da, 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 and then exaggerate this when you're working on this super quiet accompaniment. So pretty cool as an exercise, right? That's a little more than I would do in my performance, but it actually sounds pretty cool to separate them that way. So hard, 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 soft, hard, 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 soft. Okay, so that's the biggest thing. Not having things cut off, so they're ringing. The melody's always priority and ringing, and then the volume difference true too. Now, obviously, it doesn't need to be that big of a difference, but what we really, really don't want is right? It is the notes, but you want to bring it to life by separating them. As far as the right hand goes, ideally, and you might not be able to see it so well, and it's not marked in the sheet music, ideally we're going to want to alternate when even at a slow tempo. If you're playing quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, just having the habit of alternating fingers is good. But you will see me, if you look for it, do kind of a finger, or M in a row. That's just unique to the situation I'm in right now. So you don't mimic that on purpose if you're trying to do every right hand thing. I purposefully didn't say right hand fingerings here. You can kind of find whatever works for you with the right hand. I put a bunch of videos up about switching to playing classical and fingerstyle without nails, and to get the tone I want, I still have to sometimes do this, you know, single finger in a row, but it's not ideal. If I could get the tone I want and alternate, then I would do that. So it's stuff I'm still working on. So with the right hand, just do whatever works for you and is comfortable. And if you have questions about that, just throw those in the comments. Here in this spot where we're holding a chord and then we switch over to playing an open D, that's just going to feel like it cuts off a little bit, and that's okay. It's just the sacrifice we're making. Okay, and also here, the third finger, you're going to be on the third finger on that note, and then you have to jump over to the fourth finger. So you got 1, 2, 3, and then shift over to 4. Okay, and that's just following the fingering there. Also, I'm using the G minor 6 instead of G minor 7, which is a common interpretation of this song, I think originally done by Miles Davis, where instead of resolving to a more consonant G minor 7, it resolves to a more dissonant G minor 6, and I use that in this arrangement. And this little figure that's in the piece is actually part of the famous introduction that Miles Davis did on this song. That's an intro that they did. So we use that in the piece. That's what this material is right there. So that's kind of a fun little shout out to that. And I love this part. Okay, so I'm just taking it right here. Okay, I love this part. We're going to be holding still. Oh, good note here. Don't pay attention to this rest. Just with the software, I couldn't get the tie to tie over. So you should be holding this chord that we were playing there still. It'll feel natural to do that. You don't have to think about it. And I just love this part. And I tend to roll that chord there. Okay, I tend to do this, but you don't have to. It's a bad little squiggly roll that chord. I love this part here. I didn't mark it as a short note, but you can think of this as kind of like a muted staccato thing. So we got, you'll hear me do that when I play it. And super important, and that's so cool because this is ringing over, and then this is this short thing, ba, ba, right? It really is like what two different musicians would do, right? This is ringing, and that just top note keeps ringing and is not messed with, and there's totally something else that has a little rest in it and then a little bounce to it. This is a great spot for connecting and making it super, super smooth. Hold this one. I know I keep highlighting the notation, but if you're looking at tabs, totally fine. But hold that finger 1. Okay, so we got, I'll take it from since you went away, ba, ba, dun, dun, dun. Okay, I'm right where I circled it, okay? And I want to lift off everything else and keep that finger down. This is solo guitar technique. And you keep that down and then move that 4 over 2. So you create this, something is keeping it connected and smooth. There's not like a big weird gap, right? So da, 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 da. That would usually create a gap by having to shift, right? But we're doing this inchworm technique, which I did a video on that. I'll put that in the description, playing scales with what I call the inchworm technique. Okay, let's go on to here. This is the only bar. Is it? I think it's the only bar. Okay, we're going to bar strings 2, 3, and 4. So nice. Keep that top note ringing. We're on that C minor to F7. And then once you place your 3rd finger right here, you can let go of that bar. Okay, so you have to be barring from here to here. And then 3rd finger down, you can lift off. Okay, because if you don't let go of that bar, it's going to feel like a lot of tension trying to get this and keep the bar held. Okay, most important thing here, this is where you get to super duper practice making sure the melody rings, because you're going to have to play all of these chord shapes underneath, this like turnaround thing, all this business, but you're going to have to you really want to keep that melody ringing. This is the one spot where it's most likely to get cut off. Not because something touches it as much as because you have to do, oh, this is the other bar here. You got to bar this F minor 13 chord. So hear that continuing to ring. Now I play this on acoustic guitar all the time and any kind of guitar, so it's harder to really hear that ringing if you're playing acoustic. That's okay, but you do play the note twice in the melody, so you got that's why I added the lyrics too, so you can kind of keep track of the melody notes. Really matter where they are, because you have to. It's a song with lyrics, and we want to play the real song. So we got open G, and then this little diamond here, and showing that little diamond shape there. We want to do a 12th fret harmonic. That's our last note. Very quickly, we're going to say 4 different ways that you can play this at a much deeper level, get it to sound more advanced. It's very simple and very approachable, this arrangement, but simple and approachable arrangements are the most fun to try to play at a high level, because you can get the notes down and then you can say, what makes this really meaningful music? What can I do to really get this to feel expressive for me? So I'm going to give you a few tips here. Number 1, these are not in any particular order. You've heard me do this. Little neck vibrato. Now that works on a Tele or a Stratocaster or an electric guitar. It's not going to work on a classical guitar. It'll work a little bit on a steel string acoustic. So depending on the guitar you have, if you like, a little pull on the neck to give it some, listen to how cool that sounds with the minor 6 chord. Right, so I tend to do that, and not required, but just it adds a little depth to the piece. The next one is to slide into the notes. You'll hear me do that a lot too, and I don't choose ahead of time where that's going to be. I just kind of go by feeling. Sometimes do it more, sometimes do it less. That's why I didn't write it into the arrangement. So you get the idea, so that's something to throw into it. Number 3 is to actually change the rhythm to have these notes be anticipating the actual normal rhythm of the melody. This is a jazz tune. I wouldn't do this on a classical composition, but it's really nice to switch up the rhythm of the melody so it's not just da 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 da. It's lovely that way, and I think that's the kind of default way we should play it. But then da 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 da, you can mix it up, syncopate it. Do 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 do. Okay, so all of those I was just playing it a little quicker here, and then the melody note was being anticipated an 8th note before that normal spot. And then the last thing I want to recommend, if you really want to go deep with this or any piece that has lyrics, that you sing the lyrics along with this, even if you're not a singer or comfortable singing, to internalize the story of this song, to sing the lyrics along with it, so that then when you take the lyrics away and just play it as a guitar piece, you that the lyrics resonate in your mind along with the melody. First of all, it's going to help you know where you are in the piece and not get lost. But more importantly, it just adds some emotion to the piece. When I do that, and when I'm tied in, synced in with the lyrics while I'm playing just the guitar, I always play it with more feeling and more emotion and more, it's just more expressive and more profound feeling. So that's something I recommend if you're open to that. Certainly don't have to. You can play a great version of this not thinking or knowing of the lyrics at all. But since it is a song with lyrics and originally was written that way, it's really nice to get into the center of what the song is intended to be. If you want the sheet music and tabs of this Autumn Leaves fingerstyle guitar arrangement and a few other arrangements that are in that pack as well, again, use the link in the top of the description or go to soundguitarlessons.com/moon. So is this solo guitar arrangement something that you're excited to work on? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I post a new lesson video every week. Next week's video, we're going to stick with Autumn Leaves, and I'm going to talk about the critical improvisation skill that we want to be working on if we want to improvise over chord progressions, and that is improvising with chord tones. That's going to be a good lesson. I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching. Take care and happy practicing.